The desire to find happiness is definitely universal. But did you realize you could be sabotaging your chances of finding it? How? By not using a wise money management plan. Let me explain why. We've all heard the saying, money can't buy happiness. And while this might technically be true, the wise use of money can actually contribute to happiness. Well-known economist Adam Smith explains that to be truly happy, you must have a high degree of both security and independence. Unfortunately, many of us have unknowingly reduced our own security and independence by taking on consumer debt. When you are in debt, you are by definition dependent because you have traded a portion of your financial freedom and security to make a purchase. So, what exactly constitutes the wise use of money? Well, a wise money management plan includes 3 keys: avoiding consumer debt, using a written budget, and creating a savings plan. Last semester, I was enrolled in a money management class, and I've read several good books on this topic. I've also experienced the benefits of it personally. Many years ago, my husband Ted lost his job. Luckily, we'd been wise enough to stay out of debt and to save for an emergency. We didn't have to worry about money because we had enough set aside to keep our basic needs met for several months. Also, when my husband was offered a job out of state, we had enough money to make the move without having to go into debt. This experience taught me that how using money wisely leads to financial peace and security. Most Americans carry some form of consumer debt, which not only reduces their financial freedom and security, but also their happiness. Since most of us want to be happy, it makes sense that we would want to learn how to use our money wisely. In order to accomplish this, you will need to create and follow a wise money management plan, which includes 3 essential keys. First, you must avoid consumer debt. Doing so will provide you with improved financial freedom and security, greater peace and happiness, and better family relationships. Second, you will need to use a written budget, which is based on your personal goals and values. Third, you will need to develop an effective savings plan. This will allow you to avoid debt, build financial security, develop wealth, and prepare for the future. Together, these 3 keys will help you to achieve greater peace and happiness, as well as financial success. Let's begin by discussing consumer debt, which most often means credit card debt. Consumer debt is responsible for a whole host of problems, so of course the first key for the wise use of money involves avoiding consumer debt. Avoiding consumer debt allows you to gain financial freedom and security. Obviously, in order to avoid debt, you must learn to live within your means. Because debtors are in financial bondage, they are often compared to servants or even slaves. In Proverbs 22, verse 7, it says, "The borrower is servant to the lender." Writer Norm Franz says it this way, "Gold is the money of kings, silver is the money of gentlemen, barter is the money of peasants, but debt is the money of slaves." Avoiding consumer debt promotes personal peace and happiness. In their research, Chancellor and Leon Bomirsky found that those in debt tend to experience less happiness and more anxiousness than those who are not in debt. Smith believed that the key to gaining peace and happiness is a sense of safety and freedom from direct dependence on another individual. Well, debt would certainly qualify as direct dependence on someone else. Avoiding consumer debt also reduces family relationship problems. According to Marvin J. Ashton, peace, contentment, love, and security in the home are not possible when financial anxieties and bickerings prevail. Financial expert Dave Ramsey has said, "The number 1 cause of divorce in America is money fights and money problems." To prevent these kinds of problems, those already in debt should take advantage of a good debt elimination plan. Dave Ramsey's plan has helped thousands of people to become debt-free. But, he says, I assure you that virtually none of them did so without a written budget. The process is quite simple. First, you should save up $1,000 as quickly as possible. This is to prevent you from jumping back into debt in the event of an emergency. Then you should pay as much as you can on your smallest debt while making the minimum payment on all other debts. Because this debt is smaller, it will be paid off much more quickly, which will give you the motivation to keep going. Once this debt is paid off, add all of the money you paid on it to the next smallest debt. Continue on in this same way until you are debt-free. As you can see, avoiding debt promotes financial freedom and security, as well as peace and happiness. Next, we will learn about the second key. The wise use of money involves using a written budget. A budget should be based on your personal goals, and your goals should be based on your personal values. To begin with, you need to thoroughly assess your values and priorities. This will prepare you to set some financial goals. For example, maybe you value getting an education, so your goal is to save money for tuition and books. A budget must be written down and tracked in order to be effective. Start by using your goals, income, and monthly expenses to construct a written budget. Be sure to keep good track of it so that you know where you stand. A budget that is not tracked is of very little value. A budget should be thought of as your financial action plan. This is because it gives your money a well-defined purpose, which allows you to reach your financial goals. A well-planned budget makes a savings plan possible, and a savings plan allows you to gain financial freedom and security, avoid debt, build wealth, and prepare for the future. So the third key for the wise use of money involves creating an effective savings plan. If you want to maximize your financial freedom and security, you should create an emergency savings plan. Were you aware that 56% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings accounts? Elder Ashton recommends saving enough money to meet your basic needs for 3 to 6 months. A few years ago, my friend Wenmei and her husband Michael had a string of really bad luck. First, their roof sprung a leak. Then, Michael needed to have emergency surgery, and finally, their basement flooded. Unfortunately, because they didn't have an emergency plan, they ended up taking on heavy debt, which eventually caused them to lose their home. If you had a similar problem, would you have enough money to pay for it without going into debt? If you want to avoid consumer debt, you must save for larger purchases. There are some things that you can purchase that you just can't purchase using your monthly income. Some of these things may be essential for daily living. If you haven't saved for them, you will end up in debt. While debt certainly increases your purchasing power, it does so by borrowing from your future, and it costs interest. Saving also increases your purchasing power, but it does so without borrowing from your future, and it costs nothing. Which one do you think is the better alternative? If you want to grow your wealth, you must develop a good savings plan. Wealth allows you to provide for yourself and your family, and it also allows you to help others. Dave Ramsey believes that money gives power to good intentions. Margaret Thatcher once said, "No one would remember the Good Samaritan if he'd only had good intentions. He had money as well." If you want to be prepared for the future, you will need to save and plan for it. Patricia Bonner found that 1 out of every 2 workers says consumer debt is the reason he or she is not saving for retirement. Imagine you've reached retirement age only to realize you haven't saved enough money. What would you do? You can make sure this never happens to you by avoiding consumer debt and by using a wise investment program. As you can see, a wise money management plan protects and prospers you in many ways, both now and in the future. In conclusion, we have discovered the 3 keys to a wise money management plan are avoiding consumer debt, using a written budget, and creating a savings plan. If followed, these keys will increase your financial freedom and security, which leads to greater peace and happiness. While money itself may not be able to buy or guarantee happiness, the wise use of it can certainly produce the kind of environment where it can thrive. Everyone wants to be happy, and everyone wants to realize his or her most important financial dreams. Why not have both? by simply using your money wisely.